Evening Bootketeers, how are you doing? Looking at the news today, make no mistake, they are coming for GB News. They have drawn the eye of Sauron and have made an enemy of the one special group of people in the UK that we all know have such powerful protection from the British government. They are 10 rungs above you in the legal system. David Starkey's talked about it at length. When you become obsessed with a minority group, you can only raise them up if you crush the majority group. And the one group that have the power to do it have their gaze firmly set upon GB News. And if they have their way, and they usually do, they will shut it down. Who am I talking about? I am, of course, talking about the certain Council of Great Britain, whose name you cannot say on this platform without being instantly threw off it. We'll just call them the Mormon Council of Britain, shall we? Yeah. They've got loads in common. I mean, full disclosure, I've never seen an exploding Mormon or walked past one with a hissing backpack on the London Underground, but we all know what I'm talking about. The MCB is targeting GB News aggressively on Twitter, and they have, of course, tagged all of the great and the good in order to assist them with their quest of shutting it down forever. GB News aired half of UK news coverage on the regulars at Alan's world-famous snack bar over a 2-year period, with most stories overwhelmingly negative, says CFMM UK report, sparking calls for Ofcom action. Calls by you, not by the general public. No, the general public have probably noticed that the reason they might talk about you lads a lot is because you haven't done a very good job of dealing with some pretty sizable issues. Chief among them, I mean, I'll just reel some off. Foxtrot Golf Mike, if you don't know what I'm talking about. How can I put this in a circumspect manner? Slicing and dicing young girls' flaps with a sharp stone, sending them on an extended summer holiday to Uncle Ali's house, and then said teenage girl returning to England with a severe limp. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. They haven't really dealt with that much, have they? They haven't dealt with the problem of people randomly exploding at pop concerts. They haven't really grasped the nettle when it comes to not rattling your cousin and having a child be spawned that, frankly, if they went on a double date with Sloth from the Goonies, he'd be the looker. I mean, there's a few problems that need fixing, lads, I'm just saying. The findings report an excessive focus on the protected class, bordering on an obsession. Saeeda Varsi, they're getting the lords and ladies involved, described the findings as shocking, while Stuart Purvis, a former ITN executive and Ofcom regulator, said the findings raised vital questions for the broadcasting regulator. Read the full story at The Guardian. Well, I won't be reading the full story at The Guardian because The Guardian are professional political activists who have an axe to grind against GB News, even though GB News, who constantly bombard you with the opinions of lefty arseholes like Benjamin Butterworth, GB News does a much better job of being impartial than The Guardian, the BBC, Channel 4 and Sky News put together. Because if you literally try to take the by-minute left-wing vitriol that gets spewed by activists on GB News every now and then, and you compared it to right-wingers that appear on the aforementioned state-funded broadcasters networks, it's not even close. GB News is easily the most impartial broadcaster in the UK. But impartiality, in this day and age, impartiality is, of course, a hate crime. So the obvious is going to happen. GB News needs to be shut down. Ofcom have already started fining them. Mark Stein, the fantastic Mark Stein, had to leave the network because of the machinations of the political class in the UK who view any disagreement with their toxic, poisonous, neo-communist worldview as some sort of fascistic hate crime. So one of the best broadcasters on telly in the UK, Mr. Stein, personal hero of mine, the bloke is fantastic, and he was threw off the air unceremoniously because he politely disagrees with woke activists. Okay? They are coming for GB News, I guarantee you that. It has to be resisted as dogmatically as you possibly can, Ofcom should be disbanded as far as I'm concerned. We don't need Ofcom. The general public can make their own decisions about what should be on the television, and if there's enough outcry, then pull it, whatever needs pulling. But you don't need a captured, ideologically possessed quango going after perfectly respectable TV networks just because the left don't like them. And you might remember, to quote Gandhi, you know, the whole first they laugh at you, then you win type thing. They spent the first 3 years of GB News' existence laughing at them, saying, haha, no one's going to watch GB News. And now GB News is overtaking the BBC and Sky News because they just lie constantly and the general public have noticed it. Now they've realised they're losing, well then it's time to get the dirty tricks out and we'll just close them down, you know, because they say things that we disagree with and you can't have that. It's ludicrous. It's blatantly politically driven by overbearing, authoritarian, Orwellian statists who think polite disagreement is tantamount to a hate crime. That's what's going on here. And just to finish up, look at this staggeringly based comment from, I believe this fella's titled The Lotus Eaters, isn't he? Despite being 6.5% of the UK population, Alan's lads represent 67% of terror attacks. Surely he's lowballing that number. 67%. Who else is doing them? Seriously, who else is doing them? I can't think of any. I think he's lowballing us there, but I'll let him off because the rest of it's quite good. 25 to 30% of birth defects due to cousin rogering. 84% of, yeah, we know that one, and nearly 20% of the prison population. 44% are unemployed and 27% are in social housing. Brilliant. That's true as well, we know it. The fact that so many of them won't let the wives work is what obviously makes the 44% being unemployed ring true. They're a drain on the national resources. You can ignore the grooming and the cousin bumming and the occasionally filling the pockets with rat poison and high explosives and scattering themselves across music venues. You can ignore all that. Even on a pure economic standpoint, they're a massive pain up the arse. So you can't argue with that, can you? Well done, Jonathan Wong. Much more sensible and well worded than my trifling attempt. If you lads could just get a grip of the cousin bumming, the grooming and the bombing, and the FGM, we wouldn't really need to talk about you, would we? Seems perfectly reasonable, but let me know what you think. If you can't do basic mathematics, you see no issue in 10-year-olds being forced to gobble hairy-ass geezers in car parks, and there's absolutely no problem in little girls redecorating the walls of the Manchester Evening News Arena. If you see no problems with any of that, please let me know why you disagree in the comments, and we shall all point and laugh in your general direction. Okay, thanks for tuning in, ladies and gents. Hope you're having a good day, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.